before I really start doing the install, I just want to point this out real quick. For your tach that you choose, you gotta make sure you have one that is a 3-cylinder. There are some on, on Amazon. There's a lot really that are 4.6 I believe is the common one. But you gotta find something that's 3-cylinder. This is what I used right here in the video. It works good. It's pretty simple, but just make sure you do have a 3-cylinder option here. And for the actual install, this is really all you get. Super easy. You get a signal wire, and then a couple others. You don't want to end up using this orange one, but this is what I would recommend. So far, I've had no issues really. It seems to work pretty good. But I do just want to point this out, is to make sure you do find one that will be for a 3-cylinder. And I know that these engines do rev relatively high, so that's why I went with a 10,000 RPM tach. So I'm not telling you to buy this one. It's not sponsored or anything, but I think this is probably the go-to that I would go for. Alright, so wiring is going to be pretty straightforward. As you can see, the one that I have came with these instructions: ground, ignition, constant, and green is your signal wire. See, little diagram right there. Looks very straightforward. In here, I've just started doing the wiring. I have the dash off, so it's a lot easier, but I imagine you'll probably be able to do this with the dash on still, but for me, this is where I'm going to ground to. You can see it's obviously a ground. Just splice it to there. If you have the dash off, you could also use the ground for the radio. It is black and white wire on the original harness, as you can see right there. Alright, so now I'm doing this yellow wire, which is constant power. Yellow wire is right here, my tach. And what you want to splice into is right here on the original harness. This is that red, solid red wire. So we're going to splice into right there. And that's all there really is to do on this one. Alright, so there's the yellow wire complete. Right here on this red wire on the original harness. Make sure that you do this one insulate it pretty well with something. Of course, you saw before my splice wasn't the best, but this is the constant power. You really don't want this grounding out somewhere and shorting something out, or or burning your car up. That's all there is for this wire. Alright, next I'm doing that red wire, which is ignition. I'm going to my radio harness, as you can see, going right here. So I'm going to connect into, on the original harness, it is this solid blue wire right here. But I already have, aftermarket radio, but I'm going to go right into there. Alright, there you go. That's your ignition power. Blue wire original harness, red wire in this tachometer. That's all you gotta do, just like that. Put some tape around there or something just to seal this off, and you should be good. Alright, so what you're gonna have to do for this green wire, right here is your brake fluid reservoir. On the dash, it's just gonna come down and kind of slant down to here. Under here, sitting kind of clipped in like this, you're gonna see the diag port. Should be sitting somewhere like this under your dash. You'll see like right here. But if you pop this cover off, just pull that out. See all this? This pin right here, the little shiny one in there, that's gonna be where you want to set your signal wire to. You can pull these tabs off right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Flips open, and it is this black and blue wire where you gotta splice it to. Alright, just for a quick tip to get, the wires, kind of have a little splice for them right here. What I do, take a wire stripper. Obviously, I don't use my left hand, but get in there, cut like here, cut a couple millimeters up like that. This one's cut here, cut a little bit up. Then I take a lighter, and I'm not actually going to do it now, but you just get this, get it right here, just light right around where you did your cuts at. Let it kind of burn, and then it's gonna hurt a little bit, but it's really not that bad. Right when you take the lighter off, put your hand there or your fingers there, and just pull down, and it should just pull right off. Then you should have a little spot to splice it to. That's how I do it. It's probably not the best way, but it's what works for me. Alright, there you go. Spliced into that black and blue wire up there. Managed to get it back in there nicely, and that should be how it sits. Once again, it is this one right there. Not this one, but this one. Alright, so that's it completely wired up. I'm not using this orange wire that I think is for dimming. I might mess with that in a little bit. But as for now, I'm just going to let it be to do this test. Make sure, by the way, you go in there, set it to 3-cylinder. I use like a little screwdriver just to turn it to 3. Otherwise, it won't read correctly. But before you start it back together, so let's do a test. So first, put it into accessory. Lights up real nice, as you can see. Now it shouldn't affect anything when I turn the headlights on. As you can see, it doesn't. But let's turn it on. There you go. Obviously now I know I gotta mess with my idle because it's actually not too bad for a cold start, but it is a little high. But as you can see, now I step on the gas. Works good. So obviously, when you're doing your first power on, you gotta test everything, make sure everything's good. Make sure you look closely at your wires, make sure they're not bumping, nothing's smoking or something's hitting something weird. Just make sure it looks all good. And other than that, I mean, it was a pretty straightforward install. Really not much to it, especially when you have the dash off. It is a lot easier to do because you just have access. You have access to everything you need. But once I'm throwing everything back together, I'll take a little clip and I'll show you if you have the dash on. I still think you will be able to do this, no problem. When I get there, I'll take a quick video and show you guys what I'm talking about. Alright, just a quick reminder, it's pretty basic knowledge, but I mean, if you're doing right-in and have the dash off already when you're doing this, make sure you throw a zip tie or two just so it's not hitting the steering column, it doesn't want to get wrapped around down here. So just make sure, tuck it with a wiring harness, something out of the way. If you're dash on, this is going to be a lot easier. You don't just run it with the dash. Find a spot, just stuff those wires, make sure they don't hit anywhere here or get somewhere hot. Just basic common knowledge. I just want to just give you guys a quick reminder. Alright, for that last wire, that orange wire, which is your headlight, what I'm thinking is that auto dimming setting, this wire here. I don't really care about it. It's not something that really would bother me if it's slightly brighter, especially since I have LEDs in here now, so either way, I'm gonna be blinded at night. But this wire, I'm sure there's gotta be a splice in here you can do somewhere. I don't care enough to find it, honestly. Alright, so earlier I did mention there was a way to probably get these wires running without removing the dash. As you can see, my dash is back in. So here's how I would do it. I'm planning to put the gauge right in this little vent that sits here, this little pocket. So I ran the wires, and you can see this black one I actually did end up rewiring. It used to go way up in there. For whatever reason, that ground wasn't working at all times, so I was just like, alright, I'll switch it to the radio. I ran it up and around to here. Obviously, you would want to do this better. But I didn't really feel like taking more apart, and it got kind of lazy, so I just shoved it up through there. It ran up through here, came down through here. So you can see right here, you can grab it right into the radio harness. And what you obviously have to do is take off this piece. It's 2 Phillips bolts up in there. And then it's all just trim clips. Just pop it off in this corner, and it will come out. But that's why I would do it right through this harness. You could do it almost everything. And then with the dash in now, I can show you. This will sit right up. I think it sits right here. Is where it should sit. So you follow your dash, keys right here, right down to here. Should be right up in there. And if you don't have that, I don't really know. This is on a 98, so hopefully yours does have it. And if not, I would just probably run the signal wire under the seat through here. Come down through here, under here, through here, under the seat, all the way to your wires, and just ground at the wire itself is where I would go.